Republican Senator Susan Collins, one of the senators in the undecided column so far. Let me get over to Manu Raju because she's made a very important statement to CNN. Manu?
Yeah, a hugely significant statement. Susan Collins, one of the key senators we've been watching for weeks, coming out of that briefing and saying that, quote, it appears to be a very thorough investigation. Now, this is hugely significant because this suggests that she is satisfied with how this investigation went. And what we have heard from Republicans emerging from this closed-door briefing, they're saying there was nothing to corroborate the allegations made against Brett Kavanaugh that he sexually assaulted Christine Blasey Ford when they were teenagers, and that he exposed himself to Debbie Ramirez when they were in college together. The Republicans have come out one after another, so there's absolutely nothing to corroborate that in there. The Democrats have said, however, this was not a thorough investigation. There needs to be further investigation. They call it incomplete. They say that there needs to be much more, that the witnesses who need to be interviewed, they say it's been curtailed, probably by the White House. But Susan Collins making it clear, Kate, that she is siding with the Republicans on that key question about whether or not this investigation was done thoroughly and completely. She believes it has. Now, what does that mean for her vote? We don't have final answer on that yet. She would not comment when questioned by our colleague Jeremy Herb about whether or not this means that she would vote for Kavanaugh. She said she's still looking into this. She may go back for further briefings later, but an initial indication, very positive for Brett Kavanaugh, that Susan Collins emerges and saying that this appears to have been a very thorough investigation. We'll wait to see what Jeff Flake, the Arizona Republican senator, has to say, and Lisa Murkowski. But one key senator making this very important announcement at this key moment here, Kate.
Absolutely at a key moment. Manu, thank you so much for bringing us that. Let me go back to Gloria really quick. Gloria, you heard from Dianne Feinstein, you hear from Chuck Schumer, you heard from Mitch McConnell, and then now we hear from Susan Collins. Where do you see this heading?
Well, what we're seeing are evaluations of the FBI report that are black and white. I mean, they couldn't be more different.
Exactly.
Dianne Feinstein and Chuck Schumer are effectively saying that it was a whitewash, that it was incomplete, that it did not talk to the people that it needed to talk to. And then you hear Susan Collins coming out saying that it was complete. You have Mitch McConnell on the floor saying that it was complete, and that what the Democrats are doing is underhanded gamesmanship, and that the country should not be hoodwinked by those who want to smear this good man. So I think what you have here is a Democrats said, Republicans said version of what they're reading. And that's why I think you heard Dianne Feinstein say this ought to be released to the public so the public can decide whether the FBI has in fact been limited by the White House in who it can interview. And we know that Deborah Ramirez's attorney has said that none of the people that she suggested be interviewed who could corroborate her story were interviewed. So it's hard to make a judgment here when you don't know what you're looking at, and senators are coming out with such completely different pictures.
Yeah, and whose word do you take? It is impossible to say right now, Gloria. Here with me in studio, CNN political director David Chalian and former FBI supervisory agent Josh Campbell. David, I hope and pray and dream of a day when on one issue, one document, everyone sees the same thing coming out of Capitol Hill. Right. It's a Pollyanna theory, I know, but what we're seeing right now, we're where we were Friday.
Actually, I think we're in a different place. I think the ball game's over here, and I think that's why what Manu Raju was reporting about Susan Collins' statement is a hugely significant moment, because the entire argument from the Democratic side about the investigation is that it wasn't thorough. that it wasn't complete. And she's not buying into that argument at all.
And Jeff Flake was about process as well.
Exactly, as an avenue to oppose his nomination. She's made that, if indeed she were to all of a sudden come out and surprise us and say, I'm a no vote, she won't have this as an excuse, because she said this is a very thorough investigation and this is the avenue Democrats are pursuing. So I think it is, as Manu was saying, even though we don't actually know her vote yet, I understand that, but that was a hugely significant statement. Remember, Jeff Flake has already announced his intention to vote to confirm Kavanaugh. That happened before he got the weak pause in the FBI investigation. Susan Collins is now saying, I reject this Democratic off-ramp. This is
Remember, Jeff Flake was all about process and his concern, as he said to Chris Coons, that it was the process was tearing the country apart. And the process now, Susan Collins says, has been thorough enough. And the process is now moving forward.
So again, we don't know her vote, but I think every indication right there is that, as Mitch McConnell was making the case there, this is moving towards Kavanaugh's confirmation.